Are you struggling to lose weight, especially in the midsection? No matter what you do, despite your best efforts, and that could be watching what you eat, eating healthy, exercising, moving your body, intermittent fasting, you name it, all of those things just aren't budging the needle. I'm going to tell you that there's one overlooked system that is oftentimes involved, and if you do a few of these things many times, people will see results, especially when incorporated with all those other healthy lifestyle habits. So what is that thing? That thing is an improperly draining lymphatic system. Now, there's research coming out that is ultimately indicating and telling us that our lymphatic system can become leaky, right? We've all heard leaky gut, permeable gut. The same thing can happen in our lymphatics. We can end up having leaky lymphatics or a permeable lymphatic system. Ultimately, what that means is things seep out or seep in before they're supposed to. Now, why is this important when it comes to weight loss or the reduction in fat accumulation? Well, because our lymphatic system is part of the transportation of dietary fats. Ultimately, what happens is when we consume anything that is high in fat-soluble vitamins, when it gets broken down in our gut, it doesn't get absorbed into the bloodstream like most other nutrients. They're too big, they're too large. So what happens is those fat-soluble vitamins end up getting absorbed into the lymphatic system, specific little vessels called lacteals that are found within our gut. And the lacteals ultimately moves the lymph and the dietary fat into the thoracic duct, which then drains up at our left collarbone. Now, here's the problem. If our lymphatic system is leaky, if it's permeable, what's happening when we have leaky lymph? The fat that's supposed to be transported to our termini, our left termini, and returned to the blood supply, so that way it can be broken down and utilized the way that it's supposed to, doesn't get there. It ultimately seeps out of the vessels. And as dietary fat seeps out, it accumulates. And that's one of the reasons why individuals end up having more trouble, especially in the midsection, losing weight when there is miscommunication or even malfunction between the gut and the lymph. Now, here's the kicker. When there is leaky lymph, there's almost always leaky gut. So that means we do have to address both the gut and the lymph. Now, why is because both of those work together. And if one isn't functioning properly, it means the other needs to work harder. And eventually the other one is going to start to malfunction as well. So some of the things that need to be done is reducing your total inflammatory load. Now, looking at things like gluten is a big one because gluten has been shown in research to drive leaky gut. It breaks down the zonulin, which is ultimately the barrier within our gut that keeps things nice and tight. And so zonulin, when that gets broken down, it becomes big. We end up having these big permeable spaces for food to get absorbed too early. Now, when that happens, that drives inflammation. Inflammation drives breakdown. So if there's more inflammation in and around your gut, and it's not just gluten, guys, that was just one example. There's many other things. But if there's more inflammation within your gut, that inflammation is then going to impact other systems like your lymph. So we got to make sure that we are, one, reducing our inflammation. So a couple things to do would be look at what you're eating and how you're eating. Now, what you're eating, that's going to be based on you. I would suggest looking at things like gluten, dairy are the big ones, starting there, and then looking at how you're eating it. Our nervous system plays a huge role in our ability to rest, digest, and drain. So if we aren't digesting properly, it's likely partially due to our nervous system not being in a state of safety. Your body is not going to absorb things or break things down properly if it's stuck in fight or flight. So a couple things that you can do is make sure you sit down when you eat. Chew your food until it's an applesauce consistency. That's going to do wonders just to begin with because one, you're sitting down and you're being intentional. Two, you're slowing down. So your nervous system is like, okay, I can slow down. I'm not having to go and run around and chase this and do that and shove food in between meetings. And I get it. Sometimes that has to happen. But if we can sit down and chew our food, it's going to make a world of difference. Now, chewing our food is going to take some of the pressure off of the rest of our system. especially our stomach and then our intestines. When we don't chew our food properly, it puts more pressure on our stomach. We need to make sure we have the proper stomach acid then to properly break down the food that we are consuming. So what can happen over time is our stomach acid can be thrown out of whack. Usually it's too low, which is why things like apple cider vinegar or lemon or even things like HCl digestive enzymes can be beneficial for individuals to help get that digestion going. So that's just a couple things when we look at the gut portion, but let's talk and focus more on the lymphatic component because I feel like there's far less information out there about what to do and how to address it. So a couple things that I've had Academy members and between my millions of followers come back and be like, oh my gosh, I finally started losing the weight when I did this. I'm going to share what this is with you guys right now. Really what it was clearing their lymphatic system. So for the gut specifically, there's a couple things that you have to do. One, you have to clear your termini because remember, our termini is where all of our lymphatic fluid drains. It doesn't matter if it's coming from our brain, our finger, or our big toe, or our gut. It's all going to drain at our collarbones. So we have to clear this. So what I'm going to suggest doing is before you eat, take a minute, 2 minutes, and do this routine. Clear your termini. Do 20 to 30 pumps. Then what you're going to do is you're going to do your cisterna chyli, 20 to 30 pumps. Okay. From there, I want you to do 3 diaphragmatic breaths. Inhale for a count of 4, exhale for a count of 6. What that's going to do is that's going to help shift you into a parasympathetic state, get you more relaxed, and get your body prepared to break down, to digest the food that you're about to consume. So we're at what? Maybe a minute and a half. Then I want you to go and clear your groin. Why? Because some of the lymph from our digestion, from our gut, is going to go down to our groin before it comes back up through our thoracic duct. So you're going to do 20 to 30 pumps at your groin and then come back up to your termini and re-clear. Why? We want to just make sure that this is low pressure so that the fluid anywhere in your body has the ability to drain. Why can this be so beneficial is because ultimately, if we have congestion or backup anywhere, it's going to cause fluid to sit longer. And when fluid is sitting longer, especially in an inflammatory environment, like which will happen when we have gut disturbances, like leaky gut, IBS, Crohn's, IBD, you name it, any diagnosed gut dysfunction, there's going to be some degree of inflammation. And that inflammation absolutely can affect your lymphatic system. Now, this research is still newer, and I do have a feeling we're going to start to see more information, especially on things like the microbiome and how the microbiome affects lymphatic drainage. So I can't comment quite yet on what microbiome strains might support better lymphatic drainage. That hasn't come out yet, but I do think that we'll start to see that in the future. But what I can say is as we keep fluid moving, as we keep inflammation down, and as we slow down and shift into more of a parasympathetic state versus a sympathetic state, we're going to see far better functionality from our drainage pathways. So if you're somebody that's struggling with losing the belly weight or the weight around your hips, or your thighs, I'm going to highly encourage you, try this lymphatic drainage routine before you eat just to help out your system with draining the fat from the food you're eating. That way, it's going to be less likely to accumulate in our midsection. Thanks for being here and happy draining.